Are you ready for deeper meaning and bigger dreams in your life? Do you believe it can happen? Amy and LoriAnn are here to clear the confusion and help you live life full out, guided by your inner wisdom to create, amplify, and align you with your highest self. Are you ready to attract a divinely blessed life? This is Living in the Faith Frequency.
Welcome back to the Living in the Faith Frequency with Amy and LoriAnn. We have been talking some juicy stuff between us today. Oh, I don't know if it's really that juicy, but don't get too excited.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. It's going to be helpful.
I just have loved it, like Amy's tone of voice today and the power and I'm like, what is up? What happened? And we both have kind of felt this like shift, and we both have attacked it in different ways. And I say attacked because sometimes you just really have to take charge and take the action. And so Amy was telling me a little bit about how she got out of alignment, and there was a little trigger, a little teeny trigger. Like the whole weekend was so amazing. But then there was this trigger that took her mind, and just the same as all of us, our human minds get discouraged sometimes so easily. And it just did this spiral, and she recognized it. That's the number one thing that I loved about her process. But do you want to share a little bit of the process of how you took it from spiraling to like really working and getting it in alignment?
Yeah, it's interesting how our beautiful minds can take, one little instance and make you can't remember all the other good stuff because you're so hyper focused on one little trigger, and we never know what's going to trigger us. And I had something that happened and was instantly triggered, and then I noticed there was like stories that started playing in my head that were quite extreme. And so have you ever noticed that like you've got this human mind, this kind of your ego, your human ego, and then there's this whole other spiritual high perspective place that you can look from. So it's almost like you have two different voices or perspectives in your head, but that's really the work, and it's creating awareness of like, which one are you feeding? Which one are you letting play? And not necessarily unfortunate, because I think that all of our emotions are okay. And that's just such a great reminder. If you can identify the emotion, I was feeling lonely, I was feeling overwhelmed, I was feeling insecure about, stuff like I should be able to do that better, or, whatever the stories are. So the first thing was just identifying that I was off, and I knew I was off. And then I became aware of the stories and recognized one of them was intense, and yet I could hear the softer story, but it wasn't near as loud. It wasn't getting as much attention, and then I started getting frustrated that I couldn't get a handle on it. And so I listened to a call. I listen to motivating things, whether it's music or maybe it's a podcast or something. I care about how I feel, and I really was working towards elevating my frequency.
I love that. That is a key right there. If you don't take anything away from this call, just that right there is so important. Okay,
Yes.
keep.
So
Sorry.
and you might have to try several things, and I tried several things that day, and it was one of the things that I listened to was just conversation on like synchronicities and spiritual support. That was the subject, and it was just enough to get my mind occupied away from the trigger story that I had going on. And I do want to share some notes that I took from this call that I found very helpful. And one of the first thing I have written is our human mind can get discouraged. And I just think that is such a common thing because we want things to go well. And truthfully, I've done this work for so long. I kind of expect things to go well. So when they don't, I get discouraged or I get frustrated. And that is our work. And whether you think, depending on where you're at in your journey, it's I've heard people say our natural state is joy.
Mm.
Our natural state is joy, but it's a common thing if we're discouraged. It's not natural because if we were really tuned into our higher self, our highest guidance, it's never concerned. It's never worried. It knows that every experience you have in life is helping you become more and to grow and learn and tune into your higher guidance. And so you really can't get it wrong when you know these underlying principles of who you truly are. And so sometimes I forget that. I'm thankful that I do. I know it, but I don't remember it all the time. And so some of the other notes that I took was play with your spiritual team who are all cooperative components. Call in the support. Ask for clear guidance. You can be demanding with your spiritual team and then get out of your way to receive. You could ask them, give me a sign today without delay. Look for the signs and synchronicities and support because ask and it is given. Nothing is too big or small. Sometimes we are willing to struggle and effort more than we need to before we ask. I'm guilty of that. So
Oh,
ask.
isn't that the truth? It's like
Yeah.
we sit in our struggles so much longer than we have to sometimes. So, yeah, I can like say I've done that.
Yeah, and I think number one, we feel like, oh, we're normal. We're okay because we have these emotions, because we have these thoughts, we have these triggers. Yes, it is normal. It's just how long do you want to stay there and how quickly can you find your way back? That's what the living in the faith frequency is all about. It's not staying there 24/7. It's knowing and recognizing when you're not there and how to find your way back. What do you need to do to support yourself? And knowing that there is this spiritual team, you can call it, whatever you want, whether you have angels, sometimes I call on John, sometimes it's God, there's Jesus, there's whatever your religion, your belief is, you get to give it its name. But you to know that it is there and it's for you, it's on your side. And so, we just want to ask a little bit sooner. These are my notes. Give up my personal involvement sooner to be wide open to receive, and to remember life is on our side. Let go, get out of our way. So those were some of the notes that I took, and then I felt good for a little bit, and then my mind went back to the stories that I was triggered about, and I thought, okay, I need to move my body. So I took my dog for a walk and got outside. And as I just got down my street, I got this message to listen to the audios that I recorded of John and I. And I recorded a lot of our journey, and it was in audio form. And so I just started listening to John, and it just happened to be, I was amazed. It was a month before he passed. We had the most spiritual conversation, and we were talking about afterlife, after transition for him, after transition for me. After he transitions, we both had uncertainty that we were facing, and how we walked in faith, knowing that it was going to be great. And I helped him to see how good his life, how his spirit, his soul, and everything was going to be even better than it is now. And he was excited. He wasn't afraid of the afterlife. And in turn, he said, I'm super excited for you. The vision I see for you. And then he went into this great detail of what he saw for my life. And so we walked each other through the transition.
Wow, Amy, that is so tender. Like, how many of us would just give to have that, to be able to go back and listen to those wise words and those feelings that you're experiencing, because we forget. We forget when we have talked about it. So, thank you for sharing this little piece of such tenderness and a piece of heaven that you have from John.
Thank you. Well, I just want to be open about this journey of grief because it takes on so many different turns, and I appreciate you reflecting that back because it it makes me feel blessed again, which is part of living in the faith frequency, is to feel blessed that I do have these conversations, that I can hear his voice, that I can hear him excited about my future. I didn't even know that was there. I had never had listened to it since we recorded it.
Wow.
So how I was thankful that was that sign, that synchronicity. So when you get a message and and you're guided to do something, learn to take action on it. And that's what I did. And by listening to it, it really helped me get out of this funk and remember like the bigger picture of life. You don't have to get caught up in our fears and our concerns and our insecurities. There's so much more to life than that. And we can
Wow.
let go. So thank you for LoriAnn. We're talking, and she's like, we need to hit record. So this is just real raw conversations, and I hope that our listeners are able to take away what they can do for themselves. Number one, that they're normal, that they're okay, and that their natural state is joy, and you will be guided back to it, but you don't have to be there all the time. But to do something, having a willingness to do something for yourself to feel better, because how you feel matters. That's the frequency that you're on. And LoriAnn, I know you had some other things too, and that came up, and we all might have different things that we do to bring ourselves back into alignment. I know for you, you had a really great morning on the beach and saw dolphins and had all kinds of experience, but then there was something, and sometimes we're not even sure why we feel what we feel, but you said you took a nap, and I think that's okay. That's wonderful. It's like a reset button to shut your mind off. That's really all we're trying to do, is calm our nervous system. When I think of living in the faith frequency, it's about safety, it's about living boldly in your identity, and it's about expanding into your life who you really are, and you're needed in this life, you're wanted in this life. And so as we keep moving through these changes that we go through, we become more, and we get to live in the faith frequency is to live knowing that you're safe, living in your boldness, and continuing to expand who you are.
I love that. And like Amy said, I today that's not a normal reaction for me, is to lay down and go to sleep, at you know, early in the day. But it was a lot that I had seen and I had felt. And so now that you're saying that, it's like, wow, maybe that there was just so much stimulation and so much goodness. And then I had back to back calls. And I think, oh, well, I just needed to lay down, and I slept like I had dreams. So I know I slept really good. And then, wake up and it is like a reset. It really is an amazing reset. And I don't do that every day. That's not my go-to. So I love that. Except I do say I can do a power nap. I am a great power napper. So I am a good napper. And I can, like, 10 minutes, I can set an alarm and sleep for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 5 minutes, to just do a quick reset. So I am really good at that. And I know that there's people that just cannot lay down during the day. It's just not in wheelhouse of go-to things. But for me, for a reset, that's a great reset for me.
So, and that's, it's really about getting to know yourself, calming your nervous system, and supporting yourself, and remembering that you're not doing life alone. You can ask, the sooner you ask, the sooner you let go of the struggle. Ask for what you want. Ask for what you want to feel, what you want in life, and know that it may not show up immediately, but it's on its way. And if you can have that sense of peace and faith that what you want in your life is on its way, you can be okay with where you're at. And that's what living in the faith frequency is about. So
I love that.
hope that you will subscribe to this channel and stay tuned, and we will continue to all elevate and live in the faith frequency together. So we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Thanks, Amy.
Thanks for tuning in to Living in the Faith Frequency. Keep shining, keep aligning, and keep trusting your inner guidance as you live your life full out. We are here to guide you as you step confidently into your faith journey. Be sure to subscribe and stay connected. Check out the show notes and let us know what topics would you like to hear next. On behalf of Amy and LoriAnn, we want you to keep talking, keep dreaming, and keep feeling blessed.